Um, all right, let's get into it. Partnerships. All right, welcome back.
Wait. Let me just turn off my buzz.
Yeah, you've got your fan on. I was getting used to it. All right, welcome back to the Failing Upward Club. Danny, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing really well actually. I think the lifestyle of failure is one for me. I've had a little bit of a chance to decompress over the recent weeks, doing some good
Love it.
reflection, thinking about some other things that are interesting for the future coming up ahead for 2026. No, I'm feeling good, mate. How you been?
Yeah, I'm good. Exciting times. Thinking ahead to the future. We'll have to get into that at a point in time as well. But just to remind everyone playing or listening in from home that this is a space where we reflect on the tough lessons from failure. Fresh failure for Danny and I, and we try and figure out or work out how to improve and basically not repeat the same mistakes again, or at least again and again. So we've been unpacking over the last couple of potties the different functional areas of business that we've learnt from through our recent startup failure. And today we're specifically going to talk about strategic partnerships. And in particular, strategic partnerships for startups is obviously our angle on this. And like we've done on previous shows, what we want to do is start with the good stuff up front. So I'm just going to recap probably the three key lessons in and around strategic partnerships, and then we'll get in and discuss them in a little bit more detail. So the first one being just watch out that you don't confuse curiosity with commitment from partners. And so recognize that specifically for most go-to-market partners, these are channel partners for sales. They're really structured to sell a proven product, to help with distribution, to scale distribution. And they're not really set up to invest time and resources in helping you shape your own proposition. So it's this kind of key thing that intellectual curiosity from large partners rarely translates into kind of early commitment to go on that creation journey with you. The second one is around mastering the fast pause. And so this is what we've really thought is like the most valuable skill is knowing how to quickly step away from those wrong fit partners or those whose timing doesn't align with your own. And this is around like focusing on those partners with a clear, urgent, mutual benefit. And really this boils down to how your solution helps them differentiate their own core offering. But we'll get into that in more detail. And the last one being around always be building and thinking about creating a network for tomorrow. And so I think this is pretty universal in business. But even if the partner's not the right fit for today, you should be thinking about constantly cultivating high trust partnerships, because what we experienced through our own journey was that as soon as traction starts to be evident externally, as soon as it's clear to the broader market that you may be transitioning into a new phase of business growth, those partners who maybe weren't the right fit at a point in time will often pick up the phone and come back, and you never know where that may lead. Danny, have I missed anything on the key learnings, do you think?
I'm sure we'll get into some other different bits and pieces. I think that's a great summary that you've kind of crafted around the partnership space. Maybe let's dive in a little bit deeper to understand more. Let's start with this first one around curiosity and commitment. Like, where do you think, like, just in a really kind of practical way, where do you think we got it right with the partners who had commitment, or where do you think we got it wrong where we spent too much time with someone who was curious and not committed? Like, why have we come up with that as a key learning?
I think once we decided, and just to step back a little bit, like a core to our partnerships was really core to the technology that we created. Partnerships also became a really core part of the product construct that we took to market as well, and specifically data partners, where we were able to help package up and commercialize that data into products to take to market. But specifically, what I think we're talking about here is those channel partners, the go-to-market partners, where we were looking for distribution. And so what we learned was that because had like an innovative technology in our mind, because we had a lot of great relationships across diverse parts of the industry, we often got an open ear to kind of tell our story to. But what I think we learned was, or what we learned was that a lot of partners were happy to kind of have the conversation. They were intellectually curious, but ultimately that then ended up taking a lot of our time into trying to cultivate and trying to keep all those partners happy and alive, constantly re-engage with those, versus the couple of partners who really wanted to dive in and kind of take a proposition forward, I guess is my take. Anything I've missed there?
No, I think it's good to break down those different types of partners, right? And as you said, even the channel partners, it feels like early on in a startup journey, there's even different types of channel partners that you have, and even slightly different nature of the partnerships of what they actually bring to the table, because there's everything from the pure sales distribution partners of people who are going out there and selling a solution and working on a commission. There's this difference between people who are in the services business, particularly when I'm talking about you're a tech company and you're thinking about a product, but you're not selling implementation necessarily, or strategy or consulting services on top of that. And there's that in its own right is part of the conversation. We may touch on product, but like the whole consult versus product from a technology perspective is interesting. And then there's, even in our aspect, was like other adjacent technology solutions who become partners in their own right. Together you're solving a bigger problem for an organization, or you're filling a gap that they don't have. So say, for example, we had some really good conversations and some really good engagement with the guys at Salesforce. And they, from their suite of solutions, weren't doing what we had from our little niche of what we were focusing on, both from a collaboration perspective, but definitely from the data that we're bringing to the forefront as well. And I think bringing that into their ecosystem became a very powerful part of a proposition, because they've got access to clients, you're solving something that they don't do, and how does it all come together? But as you said, I think at the heart of what your learning is this whole, like, what is the difference between curiosity and commitment? And I find it very similar to the value articulation story or the sales conversations that we've been having around what is this short-term value and long-term value which happens from a partnership. And the same story really happens in these conversations, where there's certain partners that you find that just have this connection to the concept, to what you're doing. They see how that immediately drives value to what they're doing from a sales perspective, either directly from just go and sell the solution, and it's something that can help them right now. Otherwise, it just sits in that curiosity bucket where people are like, oh, this is cool, and this is how we can go, and I can see how that fits together with our story. But if it's just nice to have, you're never going to get that drive from the partners to do it. And I think in the early days, and this was coming towards what you were saying in your second point, it's like, who are the right partners who drive what you need in the early stages of your business? Who are the partners who are going to help you to refine the value proposition in the right way and help you to land those first early clients and help you learn from that whole experience? We had some partners who became like accidental partners because they just happened to be the SIs. So the guys at, say, Silver Bullet were a good example, because they were in with one of our big clients, and they were helping to implement hands on the ground because they were doing a bunch of work with the Salesforce ecosystem in there as well. So we were able to like work with them a lot over the years and learn some different things together and help to think about how that would shape out going forward. Now, ultimately, even with that relationship, it's like you've still got to get to a point where your proposition is big enough on its own 2 feet that they're going to drive it and they're going to sell it. But it's about working out which of those partners are the ones who are going to help in those early days of your business.
Yeah, and I think the key point that you raised there, Danny, is the kind of clear understanding of value, right? And so it's kind of foolish to think a partner's just going to lean in out of the goodness of their own heart. You really have to get clear on what that value you're creating is, and that's either a fully furnished like product that's easy to sell, complements their existing product suite, and it's not competitive and drives a bit of incremental revenue, or in the early stages, it's a story that helps differentiate the partner's core proposition, and it enables them to kind of open doors and position themselves differently in the market. And oftentimes that's around kind of hitching their wagon to your new innovation and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think there's a learning which is very similar to what we were talking about in the sales conversation around which are the type of salespeople you need at which times, and
Yep.
you need a certain point of articulation and confidence and demonstrated value in your offering before anyone's going to be able to drive value. The same as we're saying, salespeople, you're bringing on just a direct salesperson and you're not 100% there, you can't expect them to go knock down 100 doors and sell your product, because you're still a little bit in discovery. And the same's true for these partners. Like if you're in discovery, real product discovery mode, and you haven't fully got to that product market fit moment, then I don't know, it nearly feels like partners are either like, maybe there's like a concept of discovery partners early on, or even like, I was thinking about this before when you were talking around, like, are your partners sales partners or are they marketing partners? And at different points in your journey, they could act as different, like, and or even like business development style partners. It's like they're not necessarily just going and hitting hard sales numbers for you, but to start with, it's just about awareness. So you've got a partnership with someone and you get invited to their event and they go and talk. We did some good co-events with some different people, like the guys at Ellipsis. We did an interesting little breakfast event talking about loyalty and how that overlapped and where our solutions were kind of coming together. We did an awesome one with Vibrance early on with AK. So a few of those like partner-led events are as much around like marketing and awareness rather than saying, hey, we're going to go and sell direct solutions together. It's more about saying, how do you find a partner who is interested enough in the space that you're doing, think it provides mutual value, and is happy to explore that in a semi-public way with you as you're kind of progressing your journey.
Yeah, love it. And it it's those businesses, definitely in those examples, Danny, who are, in their own phase of kind of business building as well, that I think were very interesting for us through the journey.
Yeah. Do you have this? I don't know if this is a spicy question. You might not have an answer to this, but do you have any thoughts or memories around any of the worst partnership experiences that we went through? You don't have to name who they were, but like, what were the partnerships that really didn't work? And what would we learn from going through that experience?
It's a good question.
It's a lot of like blank space to think, mate.
No, I know.
It means it's going to be a good answer.
No, I'm going to give a pretty terrible answer here, I reckon. I don't know that we had any like painful partnership experiences per se. I think we spent too much time and energy in some spaces. I don't think we ever, or what I would say is, I think we probably, now that I'm thinking about this, I think we did get a little bit too excited by a couple of big brand names through the journey. I think we spent a lot of time and energy working through the bureaucracy of very large multinational businesses because we felt that the outcome could be very much worth the effort. I think specifically to our solution, to our business, what we should have recognized is this prospective partner probably looked a lot like the strategic partner and investor that we were working with. So we should have been probably more understanding of the time frame and probably the layers of complexity that existed there. And then I think we learnt through that experience that actually the partner was probably more focused on being a little bit more extractive around just how we could help them versus actually being committed to creating mutual value for us in that relationship as well.
Mm-hmm.
You were probably closer to that one than I was, Danny, and you can probably figure out who I'm talking about.
I said we didn't need to name and shame, but I think it's a good one, right? I think it's a trap a lot of people fall into because they're like, and I've had people approach us. We had certain partnership conversations, and they're like, "We're talking to Accenture, and we're in bed with Accenture," and I was like, "Fuck, I know what Accenture are like. You are not in bed with Accenture, and that is like that's a slog. Like it's very rare that some of those come to fruition in the way that you think that they're going to do. And I think it is a fine line. I think in the early days as well, it's easy to get attracted to the big brand. And there's a certain amount of it where I do buy into that, where there's a certain amount of trust where if you can work with one of those big consultants or one of those big media agencies or someone there that people's like, oh, that makes sense, you can get value out of it, particularly early on. I think once you've built enough of your own brand position in market, it's probably more beneficial to just the core like top line of the business in terms of new revenue coming through the door, the smaller niche partners who are really going to drive. Like we had a really good experience, for example, particularly in the back end of our journey with the guys at Joy Agency. Like Joy are a smaller media agency who are more a challenger in the media space, who are kind of growing like against some of those big holdcos in the media landscape. And the nature of the size of their business and how fast they're growing and how they're building out their capabilities made it an awesome fit. And they were able to bring on board client opportunities and go and deliver them and to get some really interesting kind of traction going through. And we were really excited about where that partnership was heading, because they just they met the right criteria. And I think that's probably as much about it as anything else, is having that criteria to say, what are you actually looking for and what do you want to get out of those? And I think this is what you had on your point before, is like, how do you master the fast pause, I think is what you called it before. Like how do you get to the point where you're comfortable with some of these early conversations with partners to say, awesome, let's keep in touch. Like if something comes to fruition, that's great, but you know that that's where your energy is going to stop, because partners really need as much effort as a client does in terms of education, in terms of training, in terms of checking in terms of pushing it through. In a small business, that takes away time. Like we spent too much time, but we definitely spent a bit of time in the partners. And again, it's one of those, I really struggle with a few of these aspects of our business, because we got to the end and we had a number of partners who were directly bringing in opportunities and who really looked like were on the edge of what we were going to pull in terms of the next level of scale. And it took a long time to nurture that ecosystem and bring that awareness and have different people talking about us. That again, we came super, super close to pulling it off. And we get through that aspect, and next thing you know, we've got some really solid industry partners out there who are big global brands as well that could have helped to drive that next level of scale. But upon reflection, could we have done better spending that time with direct outbound or direct conversations with clients? Maybe. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's short and sharp. Anything else on partners, Danny? I feel like there's something I'm missing, but anything else from your side?
No, I think the concept we were saying about those marketing partners and the importance of them, I think it's as much around networking as being a founder who goes to networking events and talking to different people. That's what the partner network is about. There's a partner that we were kind of on the edge of working with for many years, but they were incredibly good at just being open and upfront around where the market was at and where their proposition was at. And generally the answer was, you know what? We love what you guys are doing. This is fucking awesome. We see where the value is going. The reality is our clients aren't focused on this area just yet, and there's a whole bunch of stuff we need to do just in this core domain first. Let's stay in touch. We love you guys as humans. Let's just periodically catch up and see where things go. And we did that over a number of years really with those guys. And there was little opportunities that nearly bubbled away and they just weren't quite right, but we had this mutual respect in our relationship not to stress about that and to be like, that's okay, that's fine. Something will happen when it happens, and when we know the right thing in the right time and the stars align, then awesome. I literally got a message from one of the guys who's a good contact who had no idea before the Datico journey on the weekend about his wife having a baby. And it's just because of the the friendship you grow, like a network of those kind of people, because you just get on as good humans. And while like those guys would have been supportive of our business, supportive of our brand, even though they didn't drive any, there's nothing on our paper that I could go back and say, oh, they got us a deal or they got us any of that. But it's a bigger game, the partnership ecosystem. And I think it's just about how you as an individual want to build your brand and your relationships and how you want to front up in market. I think what we'll see from our network that we built from Dataco, which will be very interesting, will be what 2026 looks like. Like in terms of when we get to the point where we can start talking about what the future holds, that network that we built as individuals, as founders in a business, is what carries forward. They're not Dataco partners. They're partners of Mike. They're partners of Danny. They're partners of Ollie. Like that's how humans naturally work. And I think making sure you remember that when you're going through a partner ecosystem is it's not a transactional thing and it's not about your business. It's about your wider network of your career and what you'll end up doing. And sometimes building a relationship with these different people will come back in spades in the future.
Very well said, Danny. People do business with people. It's very rarely about the company. With that said, thanks everyone for tuning in. We look forward to coming back next week with another hot take. For now, hit like and subscribe and we'll talk to you soon.